please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
The NDA government took office 3 years ago and promised to bring every Indian into the formal banking fold. Over the last 3 years, took office 3 years ago and promised to bring every Indian into the formal banking fold. Over the last 3 years, CNBC TV18 in collaboration with Union Bank of India has been tracking the story of banking the unbanked. Financial Inclusion Agenda was an initiative to start conversations and draw up a roadmap for inclusive growth. On this episode, we take you through the journey of financial inclusion and how it has evolved over the last 3 years. Here are some excerpts from the 2014 edition.
This is a very important day and a very important event, the Financial Inclusion Conclave for CNBC TV18 itself. Is it the banking model that we should take, or should we rely more on the non-bank model? Those are the questions that this gathering here will try to debate. Reserve Bank and the banking system, plus the political authorities under the Prime Minister are showing, coupled with the force of technology, may make this final experiment a successful one.
The focus of Financial Inclusion Agenda 2014 was the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, a national mission for financial inclusion to ensure access to financial services in an affordable manner. A whopping 5 crore accounts were opened in 5 weeks as the policy rolled out in its first phase.
If 5 weeks we could have opened 5 crore accounts, that says it all, that we all are in sync, that this has got to be done, and it is going to be the real game changer for we bankers as well. Therefore, all that right.
But the fundamental question being asked at Financial Inclusion Agenda 2014 was, are opening bank accounts enough for ensuring inclusion?
The idea was that it is not just mere opening of a bank account, but there has to be much more around that bank account. Mere opening of the bank account doesn't take the person anywhere, because bank accounts have been opened earlier also, but a large number of these bank accounts, almost 50% of them, they have remained dormant bank accounts.
A panel of experts debated the delivery of financial inclusion at low cost and the role technology could play to ensure this.
We'll hit on 4 points during the course of this discussion. One is lessons from the past, why financial inclusion has failed. That is one point. The second is the cost of the component for reaching the unreached. And the third point is what are the networks available. And the fourth point is target audience. Should it be individual or group?
Financial inclusion, the strategy was more driven in a non-holistic manner. For the first time, I think, here we are talking of Jan Dhan Yojana, which tries to coalesce savings with overdraft account, insurance, etc. So it's a more holistic vision that is going to drive the new initiative.
Today when we talk about the pillars, we are saying a propensity to save. Do you have the ability to save? Likewise, the ability to remit. Yeah. Because remittance today is a very critical component with migrants, staying away from home, having the ability to send money home. The biggest challenge today remains access. So unless you don't have an access to your ecosystem, if you're putting money in a bank account, and if the bank account is miles away from you and you can't transact on it, we've seen statistically if you have ability to transact, you will put more money. If you cannot access your funds, you are not going to leave funds in an account.
See, I would just like to say one thing, that when you talk about poor people or when you talk about low-income group, why do you think that they won't be able to pay our cost? It's not that. People are paying the interest of money lender. So it's actually more about how do you make their life easy.
When you say the ecosystem, who will build the ecosystems? We already do have business correspondent, we have ATMs, we have, what should I say, POS, point of sale, I think something like 10 lakhs. Some ecosystem is there. So what are the new ecosystem we need to build?
The regulator needs to be able to see the big picture, step 30,000 feet and say, how do we reach this client and mean the world to him? How do we play off and build off the strengths of each of these stakeholders in the continuum? What is unique to an MFI? He keeps his cost down. He has a local touch and feel. He can go and reach that client on a weekly, week-on-week basis. How does a bank leverage off those strengths? How do they build that connect? How do they use technology providers? Because we have 900 million or whatever, 1 billion phones in this country. How do we really create that continuum that everyone's working together?
The next edition of the Financial Inclusion Agenda began by taking the conversation forward as experts deliberated on the challenges in the implementation of financial inclusion. The most critical being that of transforming mindsets.
If we want to tackle the poverty, the financial inclusion must be done.
Somehow, somewhere we forget one thing. As if this is the responsibility only of the government and the bankers. Tell me one thing. We as individuals, have we asked our driver or our maid back home, or have we stopped giving him his monthly salary in cash? Could we inculcate that? Why not you start? Real financial inclusion will be successful if it starts from that angle.
Definitely, account opening is just one bridge.
Right.
Just the first bridge. Then host of really other things like giving the credit, really 5,000 overdraft. The insuring the uninsured, that is another thing. The Atal Pension Yojana, that is another thing. Giving the credit to the account like DBTL and the all kinds of government benefit transfer to the account, there is another bridge. All the bridges would have to work without tolls. So a lot of work has been going on, and there has been a cultural shift. Now everybody does realize that this is the most important need. This is the need of the day.
CNBC TV18's managing editor Shireen Khan also interacted with the then Minister of State for Finance, Jayant Sinha, on the way forward for making financial inclusion viable.
I know you've put the machinery and the might of the state behind being able to achieve the kind of targets that you've set out for yourself. Over 18 crore bank accounts have already been opened. What is the target from here on? And I'm sure the target is equally ambitious.
There are multiple areas that we're working on. First, of course, we want to make sure that when it comes to life insurance, that we are able to, through either the Suraksha Bima, which is just 12 rupees a year, or the Jeevan Jyoti Bima, which is 330 rupees a year, so that every wage earner or every person that's generating wealth or generating income for the family is covered. So insurance is the next step. After that, the step that we go to beyond insurance is on payments. So all central government payments are going to go through the Jan Dhan accounts. We would like the states also to share in the platform that we are building for direct benefits transfer. So once the platform is in place with LPG, with Narega payments, with all the central government payments, and this is a very exciting initiative that we have underway. Once the platform is in place, then the states can also plug into that same platform. There will be a number of services that they can access as part of that platform. They can access, for instance, payments transfer, so it will go through the banks into the bank account. That whole payment settlement process they can access. They can access the bookkeeping and the record keeping that goes along with that. We are going to be putting in place an SMS communication so that when a payment is sent to a beneficiary, they know that the payment has been received.
Financial Inclusion Agenda concluded with the felicitation of a select few institutions that showed innovation, use of technology, and unique models to help bank the unbanked. In 2016 saw the convergence of Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile, or Jam Trinity, which became the buzzword for an emerging India that was consuming internet greater than ever before. In its pre-demonetization edition, Financial Inclusion Agenda 2016 focused on making the Jam Trinity work.
India's financial inclusion resolve, particularly when we talk about the Jan Dhan Yojana, has recently come in for praise, even from the likes of the US Treasury Secretary as well as the World Bank President, who I had the privilege of interviewing just a few days ago. It is against this backdrop that the Financial Inclusion Summit of 2016 will draw India's leading minds across the banking sector, the insurance sector, NBFCs, microfinance companies, providers and policymakers to really draw up a new blueprint to secure 100% financial inclusion for the country.
Points only that I wanted to highlight. One is simply that financial inclusion is to promote accessibility to finance for people at large, consistent with, I think this is a very important point, consistent with financial stability. An important challenge, therefore, is also the regulatory framework and its various segments to strengthen the delivery of financial services with least risks and great accountability for performance. We have to make sure that the regulatory system functions in the way it can ensure the quality of lending, it can ensure the assets behind lending, and it can ensure that it is sustainable over a period of time.
I would only like to remind myself and everybody the motto, the famous motto. Shireen talked about Mahatma Gandhi. Equally, I think when the ILO convention was initially adopted, there was a credo which the ILO followed, that poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. It is the endeavor of any society, any government, any development process that you bring the average man of any society to a level where he can see other in his eye and feel proud, feel dignified. Thank you very much.
Another opinion being echoed was the need to innovate and develop customized financial products for target markets and look at inclusion beyond just offering credit.
I think, we have to move beyond credit. It's about time we said, what are the new savings instruments that financial institutions are actually providing? Then insurance. Insurance is what gives you that entire thing that Bimal was talking about.
So I think I totally agree. It's not just credit. People are looking for pensions and there is an opportunity for that. We started pension scheme much before Atal Pension Yojana. There were many women who would come, do fixed deposits in the bank, and every month they will withdraw the interest, and they said we are doing it for our medicine. And then we thought, why not design a pension product? But at the same time, I would say that if you want to design such product, you would require bigger institutions coming forward to do that.
For financial inclusion, I think whether it is a big bank or a small bank, each one has to play its own role. What has happened, whether in case of implementing financial inclusion, not only the smaller banks or the smaller identities, even the bigger banks, they have to devise their own products and services in such a way that the financial inclusion is implemented in true sense.
The role of regulators as an enabler as well as a deterrent to financial inclusion was also discussed.
Regulation by itself, over-regulation, doesn't speak of a mature economy or a mature system. So I think what you need to do is re-look at existing regulation, redefine, because things have evolved. Regulation isn't moving in sync with the way things are moving ahead. So there's a need to step back, redefine, and see what part of regulation that exists today is even topical, what needs to be redefined. And over-regulation in any case is something which kills innovation and which kills growth.
I will just share one recent regulation. In fact, I would share that, regulators you don't need, but regulators are innovative. And if they create a business, there is a lot of scope. And I'll say one thing, that recently RBI has issued these PSL bonds. So where the banks are not forced for 40% priority sector lending, which is financial inclusion. If there are PSL bond, priority sector lending, and if these bonds are sold out, so MFIs or NBFC can do trading, they can sell those priority sector lending, private banks can buy. So there is a motivation, there is a business in doing financial inclusion.
The torchbearers of financial inclusion were also felicitated in recognition of their contribution as they stood tall as inspirations for others to emulate.
This is for evangelizing financial inclusion to empower women.
In the category Evangelizing Financial Inclusion to Empower Women, the winner is Microfinance Institutions Network.
May I request Ratna Vishwanathan, CEO, MFIN, to kindly join us on stage.
In the category Advancing Financial Inclusion Through Women Entrepreneurship, the winner is Mandeshi Foundation. In the category Advancing Financial Inclusion by Promoting Financial Education Among Children, the winner is Male Joe. In the category Advancing Financial Inclusion by Fostering Tech-Led Ecosystem, the winner is Center for Digital Financial Inclusion. In the category Advancing Financial Inclusion by Channelizing CSR Budgets into Financial Aids, the winner is Adel Give Foundation. In the category Advancing Financial Inclusion by Channelizing CSR Budgets into Financial Aids, PSU sector, the winner is Union Bank Social Foundation Trust. In the category Impactful Financial Inclusion Initiatives, the winner is Bank of Baroda. In the category Impactful Financial Inclusion Initiatives, the winner is State Bank of India. In the category Impactful Financial Inclusion through Innovations and Processes, the winner is ICICI Bank.